Hey, greetings everybody. It's Gleecon back at you again in the flesh. Fixed camera, and that took some learning on my part. My new webcam, I don't know. Time will tell if it's better or worse. I think the video quality seems about the same. Could be a pinch worse. One major downside is that there's no light. It doesn't come with a built-in light. That's actually a pro and con because it's not shining in my face. Um, but it does create a slightly dimmer image. It's not too terrible though. Um, Also, this one has built-in audio, so I'm not a pro. It took me a while to change settings in the computer and in this to make it not make it all run smoothly, and because its audio is vastly inferior to the other mic that I have. All right, so cool. All the tech stuff aside, hey, welcome back. Everything should be going good now. On our last episode, we read some Cycle of Hatred, and the battle at Northwatch is begun. But we are also reading about Central Kalimdor, and we finished with what was it, Dustwallow Marsh, and now we're going to continue along by reading Mulgore, the capital of the old Tauren. So stay a while and listen. Which they're going to include Thunder Bluff. Is that going to get its own thing like Orgrimmar? I don't know. So this is mostly Tauren, but there's a tiny bit of goblins here with some dwarfs, harpies, and orcs as well. This is obviously a horde zone. The transition between the Barrens and Mulgore is dramatic. Here life flourishes, and the sounds of war fade in the quiet serenity of the land. I do not imply that all is peaceful here. Harpies and other dangerous creatures harass the Tauren, and our own excavations for Titan relics draw ire from the reverent shamans who feel we damage the land. While the Tauren are typically friendly to outsiders, they have recently been violent toward the dwarves and goblins mining in the region, likely at the urging of the orcs. Mulgore is the homeland of the Tauren. It is here that young Tauren learn to communicate with the spirits of earth, air, fire, and water. From warriors to hunters to shamans, all Tauren must complete several rites of passage before they are allowed to enter the towering city of Thunder Bluff, where their lives of adventure truly begin. Thunder Bluff is the central city of the Tauren, located in northern Mulgore, high atop a cluster of mesas. See separate listing below. Yeah, so Thunder Bluff is going to get its own. Which is weird because I don't know that Darnassus got its own. I don't think it did. Teldrassil, maybe it did. The culture of the Tauren is what some would call primitive, but it is based on an understanding of nature's balance and the role of each life form in this cycle. The Tauren are a peaceful race that prefers tranquility to violence, but they're fearsome and relentless enemies when provoked. Although the Tauren have tried to share their land, the continuous encroachment and lack of respect shown by factions such as Quilboar, Harpies, and the Venture Company result in escalating conflict in the region. The Tauren are also loyal to the Horde, and many of their leaders open the doors of Thunder Bluff to young Orc Control shamans who wish to train. The Venture Company's presence here is for profit, plain and simple. The goblins intended to capitalize on the peaceful nature of the Tauren and steal the resources of their home, and that plan has begun to fall apart only recently. I suspect if pressed hard enough, the goblins will eventually get the picture and withdraw. Mulgore, this is the geography. Mulgore is a land of rolling hills and open grasslands enclosed by towering mountains. There is one major lake, Stonebull, which partially encircles Bloodhoof Village, which that's their first little main zone. Throughout the land are a series of watering holes, or main hub, where wind-driven devices dig wells or turn massive stones to grind corn. Mulgore is located in the center of Kalimdor, surrounded by Feralis to the southwest, Desolus to the west, Stonetalon to the north, the Barrens to the east, and the tip of Thousand Needles to the southeast. Across the open plains of Mulgore, many animals roam, including Kodo, mountain lions, vultures, wolves, and plainstalkers. Golden Plains, a wide, flat, grassy expanse. The Golden Plains stretch between Bloodhoof Village and Thunder Bluff and host herds of grazing Kodo. Sites and settlements. Tauren dominate Mulgore, but thus far these peaceful people refrain from stomping out the small pockets where other races reside in their land. Hopefully we can find a peaceful way to resolve the tensions between the Tauren and the Dwarven explorers soon. The Baeldun dig site. That is an excavation site. The Explorers Guild has set up an excavation site here. A strong supply line runs from Baeldun to Belmodan and the Barrens. The dwarves here are some of the most fervent in their interest in the Titans, and in their haste to dig, they have unknowingly drawn the ire of the Tauren. I believe that if the Tauren realized we were searching for relics of our heritage and not a quick source of cash like the goblins, they would allow us to work in peace, and perhaps even with their blessing. The Tauren respect the worship of ancestors, and I suspect they would find our purpose similar enough to tolerate the digging, provided we showed the proper respect for the land. I intend to discuss the issue with the Tauren chieftain when I reach Thunder Bluff, if a meeting can be arranged, and I wonder if you went there as alliance, would those dwarves be hostile? I found the dwarves here pleasant, and I even know a few of them from back home. Overall, spending some time working here was enjoyable, but I know I must act before my friends' lives are placed in greater danger. Bloodhoof Village is, I think that's like the starting zone. Here, Bane Bloodhoof, the son of Cairn, leads an investigation into venture company operations to the east and a campaign against the Palemane Knolls to the west. With his father growing older, Bane takes a greater role in the leadership of the Tauren with each passing year. He has grown into a formidable warrior, but it will be some time before he matches his legendary father's exploits. Brambleblade Ravine, the Quilboar have taken up residence here where massive thorny vines sprout from the earth, similar to those found outside Razorfen and the Barrens. The Tauren find the Quilboar to be a growing problem and will likely take stronger action to eradicate them soon. Camp Narache. Oh, that's the lead, the beginning. Run by Chief Hawkwind, Camp Narache is a small Tauren outpost. Nearby Seer Greytongue, a spiritual leader, sends fledgling Tauren on rites of passage. Yeah, that's the beginning. This small camp is where most Tauren shamans begin their careers. Palemane Rock. The Palemane Knolls infest this area, carelessly poaching the wildlife of the land and selling the hides to the venture company, disturbing the balance of nature in the region and drawing the wrath of the Tauren. I find it highly unusual that these gnolls are intelligent enough to conduct trade with the goblins. Most gnolls attack any other race on sight. Red Cloud Mesa. This is a smallish village. Tauren who finish their trials at Camp Narache often travel here to continue their trials. From here, initiates set out on a series of adventures fighting Quilboar and Centaur, all the while learning about the balance of nature. Once these trials are complete, a young Tauren is usually ready to travel to Thunder Bluff for further training. Red Rocks. The Red Rocks are a sacred ancestral burial ground where dead Tauren lie wrapped in cloth atop wooden pyres. Quilboar have recently desecrated the grounds and scavenged the body for valuables. Thunder Bluff is a large city. It gets its own separate listing. The Venture Company Mine is a mining camp. Driven by profit, the Venture Company mines for iron and tin in eastern Mulgore, depleting the land's natural resources, hoarding the region's water supplies, and drawing the anger of the Tauren. Supervisor Fizz Sprocket, an extremely cunning goblin who probably will meet his end at a Tauren totem before I finish this volume, leads the mining contingent here. I've seen a few Tauren fight, and no amount of profit is going to stop one of their swings from cracking a goblin's skull. And in the Wind Fury Ridge, harpies overrun the mountainous area in northern Mulgore. History. The Tauren occupied the land of Mulgore for hundreds of years, but the Centaur were driving them out when Thrall's forces arrived on Kalimdor. Thrall and his horde allied with the Tauren, and following the events of the Third War, assisted the Tauren in reclaiming the land of Mulgore. The massive city of Thunder Bluff is a more recent development. For most of their history, the Tauren were a nomadic people and roamed the plains without a permanent home. The territory is rich with iron and tin, which has attracted the attention of the Venture Company. With the Centaur gone, the Venture Company takes advantage of the Tauren's peaceful nature and sets up mining operations throughout the region. Ironforge dwarves also excavate here, although they are more focused on the discovery of ancient secrets than valuable ore. And here's some adventure hooks. Nearly every young Tauren begins his adventures here, and many other members of the Horde have traveled to Mulgore for greater insight into the spirits of nature. And the quest, or adventure hook, Test of Diplomacy. Bane Bloodhoof asks a group of young Tauren heroes to act as emissaries to the dwarven excavation of Bale Dune to convince the dwarves to cease their careless digging. Given enough effort, the heroes can convince the dwarves to allow a shaman to oversee their site to make sure that the land is properly cared for during the excavation, and that the dwarves return to the land as much as they like. If the PCs are successful, Bane asks them to deal with the Venture Company as well, a more difficult proposition. In this case, a few good axe swings are likely more effective than conventional diplomacy. All right, so we've now looked at the starting zones for orcs, minus Orgrimmar, which we'll do on the next time. Tauren, minus Thunder Bluff, Trolls, and Night Elves. But to do the other half, we'll have to venture to the Eastern Kingdoms, which I don't know if we do that in this book or not. It might happen. I don't know. All right, I'm happy to be back in action with video. I'm happy to be ramping up closer and closer to playing this game. This episode made me really want to start off a new Tauren in Classic. Hey, this episode's in the pipe 5x5. Thank you so much, everyone. See you on the next episode of Lore of Warcraft.